The rain started before sunset, soft at first, then steady, tapping the sidewalks of the Ohio suburb like quiet fingers. Emily Carter drove home with the radio low, her mind on nothing important. The day had been long but ordinary, filled with emails, small talk, and the kind of tiredness that came from routine. She thought about dinner, about taking off her shoes, about the calm she expected when she turned onto her street. The house lights were on when she pulled into the driveway. That surprised her. Her husband David usually worked late on Tuesdays. Her stepson Jake was supposed to be out with friends. Emily sat for a moment, engine running, watching rain slide down the windshield. She told herself nothing was wrong. Houses had lights on for many reasons. Inside, the air felt still, too still. Emily closed the door behind her and listened. Number. Music. No voices, no footsteps on the stairs. She set her keys on the table and walked toward the kitchen, noticing the quiet again, how it pressed in on her ears. She told herself Jake must be in his room with headphones on. As she passed the hallway, something caught her eye. The door near the study was not fully closed, was open just enough to show a line of light. That door was usually locked when David worked late, kept papers and files in there, and he liked his privacy. Jake knew the rule. Emily felt a small flash of annoyance. It's the kind that comes from living with a teenager. She moved toward the door, grocery bag still in her hand. She planned to remind Jake, calmly, the way she always did. She reached the door and pushed it open without knocking. It was a habit. This was her house, her family. The room was warm, lit by a lamp near the window. David stood there, his jacket off, sleeves rolled up. He was facing the window, speaking in a low voice. He sounded different, softer, careful. There was a woman standing close to him. Close enough that Emily noticed before her mind caught up. The woman turned first. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened, then closed. She took a step back like someone caught in a sudden light. David turned slowly. For a second, no one moved. Emily felt the grocery bag slip from her fingers. An apple rolled across the floor, bumping softly into the wall. The sound felt loud in the quiet room. She stared at David, waiting for him to explain something she did not yet have words for. Emily. David said daughter name sounded strange in his mouth. Careful, afraid. Emily looked at the woman again. She recognized her now. Sarah Mitchell. David's former coworker. Emily had met her once at a company dinner, maybe twice at casual gatherings. She remembered thinking Sarah was kind, polite, easy to talk to. Someone safe. Nothing in the room looked wrong at first glance. They were not touching. Their clothes were neat. The lamp cast a soft glow that made the moment feel unreal, like a paused scene from a movie. But Emily felt something shift inside. Her deep and slow, like the ground settling after a quake. I thought Jake forgot to lock the door, Emily said. Her voice sounded steady, and that surprised her. She did not feel steady. She felt cold, then hot, then empty all at once. Sarah looked down at the floor, her face flushed with embarrassment or guilt or something in between. I should go, Sarah said quietly. She did not look at Emily again. She grabbed her coat from the chair and walked past them, her steps quick, careful. The front door opened and closed. The house fell silent again. David did not move. He stood where he was, hands at his sides, shoulders tense. Emily stayed near the door, the room between them feeling larger than it was. She looked around, noticing small details she had never cared about before. The papers on the desk, the half-empty coffee cup, the rain streaking down the glass. What was that? Emily asked. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. David swallowed. He opened his mouth, then stopped. He looked tired, older than he had that morning. His eyes flicked to the door Sarah had used, then back to Emily. He seemed to search for the right words. It's like someone reaching for something just out of sight. It's not what it looks like. He said. Emily almost laughed, but the sound stayed in her throat. She had heard those words before in movies, in stories told by friends. She never thought they would be said to her. "Then tell me what it is," she said. David rubbed his forehead. He took a step toward her, then stopped, as if unsure whether he was allowed to get closer. "We were just talking," he said. She needed advice. It got late. "I didn't realize." Emily raised her hand. He stopped speaking. She looked at him for a long moment. She knew his habits, his pauses, the way he avoided her eyes when he was unsure. She had shared years with him, good years and hard ones. She had helped raise his son. She had believed in the life they built together. "This isn't new," Emily said. It was not a question. David's shoulders sank. He looked down at the floor. That was answer enough. Emily felt something break, not sharply, but slowly, like a crack spreading through glass. She nodded once. "I'm going to put the groceries away," she said. She turned and walked out of the room before he could stop her. In the kitchen, she moved on instinct. She put milk in the fridge. She stacked cans in the pantry. Her hands shook, but she kept moving. She stopped. She knew she would fall apart. David hovered in the doorway, watching her. He tried to speak again, but no words came out. Emily did not look at him. She focused on the small tasks, on the feel of cold metal and smooth plastic, on anything that was not the weight in her chest. Jake came home later, loud and careless, rain dripping from his jacket. He apologized for leaving the door unlocked, smiling the way he always did when he knew he had made a mistake. Emily smiled back. She told him it was fine. She meant it. None of this was his fault. Dinner passed in a blur. Conversation stayed. Light safe. David barely ate. Emily watched him across the table, noticing things she had ignored before. The way his hand shook when he lifted his glass. The way he avoided her eyes. She wondered how long he had been carrying this. How long? He had been dividing himself between honesty and secrecy. That night the house felt different. Every sound felt sharper. The hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, the rain against the roof. Emily lay in bed beside David, staring at the ceiling. He lay stiffly, hands folded on his chest, breathing shallow. Neither of them slept. Emily thought about the moment at the door. How simple it had been. How easy it would have been to knock, to give them time to separate, to hide whatever they were hiding. She wondered how many moments like that she had already missed. She felt anger, then sadness, then something like grief. Not just for what she had seen, but for what it meant. For the trust she had given without question. For the future she had pictured, now uncertain and fragile. David turned toward her once, as if to speak. Emily closed her eyes. She was not ready to hear anything more. Words would come later. Truth would come later. For now, all she could do was lie there and breathe and let the night pass. Somewhere in the house, a door stood unlocked and nothing felt safe anymore. Morning came quietly, soft light slipping through the blinds, painting lines on the kitchen floor. Emily moved through the room almost on autopilot, brewing coffee, buttering toast, listening to the hum of the refrigerator. The house felt normal, again, but she knew it wasn't. Every corner seemed heavier, carrying the memory of the night before. She tried to push it aside, focused on routine, on the tasks that demanded her attention. Jake was already gone, racing out the door with his backpack slung over one shoulder, apologizing again for forgetting to lock the door. Emily smiled, hiding the weight in her chest. Jake had no idea how close he had come to witnessing something. He shouldn't have something that could shake the foundation of the family. She reminded herself it wasn't his fault. And yet she felt the tension of yesterday clinging to every step. David appeared in the kitchen, slower than usual, his hair damp from a quick shower, eyes tired. He carried a mug, but he didn't drink. He leaned against the counter, studying Emily like she might shatter at any moment. Emily watched him, studying his face for signs of remorse, for signs of anything she could hold on to. His guilt was visible, but so was the tension of trying to explain something that seemed too late to fix. He finally spoke, voice low, careful. "Emily, we need to talk." She didn't turn toward him immediately. She set the coffee mug down, let the words sink, then turned. She studied him. She wanted to see sincerity, wanted to see the man she loved through the cracks of what had happened. Emily didn't speak. She waited. David ran a hand over his face, frustrated, ashamed, searching for the right words. "I never meant to hurt you," he said finally, simple words but heavy with meaning. Emily felt a small twist in her chest. She knew he meant it, but meaning wasn't always enough. She studied him silently. There was no shouting, no dramatic accusations, just quiet. Truth hanging in the room. She asked the question she knew she had to ask, voice steady. "When did it start?" His eyes fell to the floor. That was answer enough. Emily felt a wave of sadness and a strange, bitter clarity wash over her. Betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet. It crept into small spaces, occupied the corners of ordinary life, and changed everything. David's shoulders slumped. He explained haltingly, stumbling over the truth. He spoke of comfort, of loneliness, of a connection that began innocently and became something more complicated. Emily listened, letting the words fall over her. Tears didn't come immediately. She focused on his expressions, the tremor in his hands, the way he avoided her gaze. The quiet honesty between them was painful. Every word he spoke chipped away at the trust she had built her life around. She realized that love and trust were separate things. You could love someone and still feel betrayed. You could want someone and feel hurt beyond measure. The room felt smaller, the weight of his words pressing against her chest. Days moved forward, unremarkable but charged with tension. David tried to reach her, to show that he was sorry in actions, not just words. He made breakfast sometimes, washed the dishes, left notes in places he knew she would find them. Emily observed, cautious, learning to measure sincerity against habit. Some nights she caught him staring at her, the longing clear in his eyes. A plea for forgiveness she wasn't ready to give. She noticed the little things, how he left the bedroom door open, how he tried to keep her involved in decisions he had once made alone, how he sought her presence without pressuring her. She didn't respond immediately. She watched, testing, understanding that rebuilding trust was not about words but about patience, about consistency. Every small act of care was a reminder that things could shift, that love could survive damage if it was nurtured. Emily spent her evenings reflecting. She walked in the yard, listened to the rain when it came, thought about the door that had changed everything. The unlocked door wasn't just a physical thing. It was a symbol of what could happen when assumptions and habits collide, she thought. About what could have been different, how a knock could have kept her ignorance intact. But she realized ignorance was never protection, it was avoidance. Seeing the truth, raw and uncomfortable, had given her a new perspective. She felt the weight of sorrow, but also the first stirrings of understanding. Some doors once opened revealed not only betrayal, but also clarity, the chance to see a relationship for what it truly was. Emily confronted her emotions honestly. She allowed herself sadness without surrender, anger without cruelty, longing without attachment to what was broken. She talked with friends, shared moments of uncertainty, allowed herself to cry when the house was empty. She learned that heartbreak could coexist with love, that disappointment didn't erase care, and that the human heart was capable of holding contradictions without collapsing. She wrote in her journal, noting every feeling, every thought, every flicker of hope or despair. It became a map of her recovery, a guide to understanding that life didn't end with one mistake or one secret revealed. Weeks passed, and Emily observed David's efforts. He sought conversations without defensiveness, asked questions about her needs, and gave her space when she requested it. She responded gradually, first with acknowledgement, then with small gestures, then with careful engagement. They shared quiet dinners, long walks, and even light-hearted conversations that reminded them both why they had chosen each other in the first place. Emily felt a shift, Not a return to innocence, not a sudden repair, but a slow, deliberate rebuilding. Trust had to be earned, and every small act was a brick in the foundation they were attempting to restore. One evening, Emily stood in the hallway outside the study, staring at the door that had once revealed the truth. She thought about knocking, thought about pausing, thought about what she might find behind it. She realized she had a choice. She could live in fear of repeating the past, or she could step forward with clarity and courage. She understood that life was a series of decisions, small and large, that defined who she was and what her relationships would become. She made a quiet vow to herself to face truth rather than avoid it, to seek understanding rather than revenge, to embrace love even when it was complicated. As the sun set, casting golden light across the walls, Emily closed the door behind her. She felt the weight of the past and the possibility of the future in one motion. She didn't know if forgiveness would come fully or if trust would be restored completely. But she knew she had chosen honesty over illusion. She knew that some doors reveal not only pain, but also the strength to move forward. And in that quiet evening, with the house settling around her, Emily understood the complexity of love. That it could endure, change, and survive if nurtured. With patience, care, and an unflinching heart, her life would not be the same, but it would continue. And sometimes, seeing the truth, no matter how painful, was the first step toward something more real, something enduring.